When we're looking at information technology, it's easy to come across both optimists and pessimists. And the optimists are the ones that will come out and talk about each new technology and how fantastic it's going to be. The pessimists are those that look at each new headline of being hacked and say, this is only going to get worse, this is going to end in tears. Well, how do we know which one of those is true? How do we know if the economic gains from being connected, from information technology, are outweighing the costs? When we started doing the research, what we found is that the pessimists are correct in the short term. On an annual basis, we are spending more in cybersecurity than we're getting in gain. And that was really startling for us to see. But we found over the longer term, the optimists are correct, that these technologies are investments and that the benefits continue to gain year after year. The really good news is for middle-income economies and lower-income economies. In high-income economies, we've got so much saturation. So there are still gains, but they're not as big as they were 5 or 10 years ago. Now, in developing countries, there's still a lot more benefits that they can gain from getting computers, from getting mobile phones, from having apps transform their economies like they've transformed in the United States and Great Britain and other large economies.
So the report tends to favor, or many people would favor, a very rosy future. In other words, technology drives a lot of global growth. But the key message here is that that doesn't come for free. We've got to spend time looking at the cyber threats, which might lead to the scenario where the internet becomes increasingly infested by attacks, where essentially the attackers get the upper hand. And why should we think about worst-case scenarios? Is it because we think they're likely to happen or not? Well, that's not the purpose of scenario planning. It's about really stretching our thinking and making sure that when we create risk mitigation, that we're taking into account just how bad it can get and approach this with our eyes wide open. A lot of people talk about resilience and how do you build resilience against cyber threats within private enterprise in particular. When a new attack comes in and we develop a patch for that attack, it's not just the technical patch, but it's also making employees aware of how that attack has come in. I think the great relief, if you like, of reading the report is that it isn't Armageddon. In fact, actually, ICT is really driving global growth, and that we shouldn't stop doing things just because there may be risks attached to them. Instead, we should proceed through the precautionary principles, figure out how to identify those risks, prioritize them, and then mitigate them.